We have this class it meets in class and in person, this programming one course. So in general, I will be recording the class and posting that to Brightspace for this. So you just have to put up with that. And online students, welcome. We're just starting the first class here on Wednesday. So today we're going to do kind of typical first day stuff. We're going to talk about how the class works, go over the syllabus. It's a programming class, so we're going to have to write our first Hello World program and get that working. Make sure we have the software running. Talk about installing the software on your own computers if you have one, and how that works there. And then yeah, set some policies and stuff like that. So that's going to be what we're going to be doing today. So again, this is a programming one course. You're probably a first or second year student here. So we have some students take it as first year students, some students take it as second year. It is required by most CIS and computer science majors and minors. And then we do have some other majors here also. And it's not uncommon for them to take it as an upper class person. And so sometimes we'll have a variety of students in this class. We're really looking at programming and getting you introduced to programming, which is kind of nice. It kind of gives you kind of a universal language for dealing with the computer these days as we go. So hopefully you, again, for first year students, you might need some help getting you started, but we'll run the whole course within Brightspace. So you want to be going to mycss.edu. You want to find the CIS 2085 class and go there. So again, we'll be using this for everything. Everything will be submitted. All your work will be submitted in here. Your grades will all be in here. Everything is in Brightspace for us to use. So generally we'll go under content and we'll go work under there. Now there is a whole bunch of units which you cannot see. Right now I've only released unit 0, which is just the kind of the starting stuff, and then unit 1, intro to programming. And that's what we'll be going over this week. And then as we go ahead, we'll release these other units. We'll see, I might try to release more ahead of time once we kind of get used to this system. I find sometimes if you're going to be gone, it's nice to be able to work a little bit ahead of things. So we'll see if I might try to keep a unit released each time for that. But we'll be doing unit 1 this week is your goal for that. Let's jump into the syllabus. So the syllabus is under, again, content, but up here at the top, the syllabus link. And I'm just going to open up this in a separate window so I can make it a little bigger. So, again, there's 2 sections to this class. This is the Monday, Wednesday, Friday section at 11:45. So you're in the right place if you're in that section. Good job. Again, there's also a high flex or online version. Those students are generally working adults, and so those will be asynchronous students. One thing nice is that if you can't come to class for any reason, you can kind of swap, the course, all the material is available for online students, all the assignments you'll be submitting online and stuff like that. So like we typically find this for like athletes, if you're going to be gone for a couple of days for a basketball game or a football game or something like that, and you're traveling somewhere, you can still, you can still check in with the class and do everything with the class, even though you're not here. Similar if something else comes up and you can't be the class. So that's nice. We'll be using NetBeans, our software. We'll talk about that as in a bit. That is available free for Windows and Mac OS here. We'll also be using a couple of textbooks. There's 2 listed here. I've added kind of another one here, and we'll look at those. So these are just textbooks that are available out here in Java. And I'll just kind of sample from these textbooks. What I kind of suggest is the textbooks have a different flavor, each one. And so I would, generally find students, if, start looking at them and say, I really like this textbook, and tend to just use that each time. So you have to kind of decide which one you like. So there's just an intro to programming, and there's a Think Java version, through. We'll also be using an online curriculum called CIS Awesome, and we'll be using that as our kind of our third alternative for this sort of stuff. So I'm Tom, that's me. Here's my cell phone number. Feel free to text me. You can call me too, but that's not going to happen. But feel free to text me. You can text me anytime, day or night. My phone goes to sleep when I go to sleep, so it will not bother me until I get up in the morning. It's a smart phone. Isn't that cool? How smart it is. So, okay. So yeah, feel free to text me. It's not uncommon for students to just take a picture of some error or some problem we're having, text it to me and say, what's wrong with this? Or why is this happening? So feel free to do that sort of stuff. Online students, feel free to do that also. My office is upstairs. Now I have office hours here, but I'm generally in the building from like 8 to about 4 most days. So you can stop up in my office there. I'm available for online stuff, usually until 10 o'clock at night there. So again, feel free to stop by my office and talk to me, or if you see me in the hallway or in the labs, do that. That's good. If you want, especially online students, to meet out of time, there's my calendar here. That's what happened with the last one. Let me update this link here. Okay, let's see if that'll work now. Oops. Right, okay. So I have calendar slots, Zoom slots available on right now. They're on Thursday evenings and Sunday evenings there. So again, if you studying or want to just talk about something, want to talk about internships or jobs, or want to review something, or you missed a class, something like that, you can just sign up for one of these half-hour Zoom sessions, and just we can chat about whatever you want there. And again, I run these in the evenings because again, we have some working adults in the class, and so they can't come to normal office hours. So. For any of our work, like if you ever want to, let's say you're traveling, you just want to zoom in, you can actually zoom. This is my Zoom room. I have one Zoom room I use for everything there. So if we schedule a Zoom calendar appointment with me, it'll be at the Zoom room. If the class is broadcast on this Zoom room. So this is my Zoom link. So if I'm ever want to track me down on Zoom, this is the one link I use for that. So, okay, college outcomes, all these outcomes. You can look through this. Basically, this course is designed to, again, introduce you to programming concepts. We do it in Java, but a lot of these concepts are pretty universal and be applied in different language. It's kind of a standard course in a lot of universities, is this programming one course. So we'll use some of that same stuff there. As far as assessment goes, we'll have assignments every week, generally, for you to work on. And so we'll talk about those and assign them. They'll be posted in Brightspace. So in Brightspace, like the Unit 1 assignment should be posted there. So here's the Unit 1 assignment, is to do this. So the directions are there, and you'll submit it in Brightspace here, and it'll be due on Sunday night So our assignments are always due on Sunday night. Everything's due on Sunday night in this class there. One of the reasons we do that is for, again, we might have online students who are working throughout the week, and you're probably working anyway. It gives them a chance to work on things over the weekend. So everything is due on Sunday night. So
I think that one's due in 2020.
in 20, oh boy, you are late there. I wonder. Let me look before I change this. Yeah, okay. It looks like I didn't switch the dates. So let me just switch all the dates from last year. Okay. Let's see if that did it. Yep. Okay. Hopefully that will be, is it showing? Oh, it's showing Monday. Okay. I'll switch it. It should be set to Sunday night for each one. So I'll update that. So we'll have assignments every week. And again, those are for you to work on and submit kind of by yourself. There might be some assignments you work together on, but mostly assignments are stuff you work on outside of class on the course material. Inside of class, we'll have learning activities. So like Friday, we'll have a learning activity. We'll do an activity in class, and you'll post your version of this to the discussion. So in these discussions, sometimes they're called discussion, but it's often just sharing your learning activity for the week, your code, your solution, and that sort of stuff. So we're using the discussion format for that, but again, it's just, it also lets you, I mean, one of the goals here is to kind of build a learning community. So all these learning activities, there's not some secret solution, and you get points if you find a secret solution. I mean, the solution's out there. You can ask AI, it'll give you the solution, and you can share it. But it's kind of fun to see other students' solutions too. So for the learning activities and stuff, you'll just post them and they'll be public. And so, I mean, you can, if you want to work, cheats or, yourself of learning, you can go out and take someone else's learning activity and just copy it and paste it. But again, you can go out and grab AI. AI will do it for you too. So we'll talk more about that. One of the challenges in this class with AI and this sort of stuff is that if you want to not learn this topic, you can certainly still pass this course and not learn very much. But that might not be the best choice out there. So just so you know, and we'll talk about that. So we'll talk about how to learn a lot in this course, how to learn this programming stuff for that. So again, learning activities and discussions we'll be sharing. And again, that's one reason we share them is that you'll see other students work too. So it's not something there. Now assignments, like I say, that tends to be something you'll submit and work on there. And again, we'll talk more about this as we do more assignments, but if you are asking others for help there or using AI or something like that, it will have some guides for referencing that there. So you will get in trouble if you turn in someone else's assignment and say it's yours. So that is not something you can do there. So we'll talk about that. Now you can certainly ask me for help. You can ask other students for help. And again, we'll try to decide, talk about where that is. And again, certainly AI, I mean, this is programming one. AI can do all the assignments in this class there. Now, if you're not doing it very well, I can tell if you're using AI, that AI has certain, especially in code, I see a lot of code, I know how AI codes, I know how you code, or how I teach you to code, so I can see that. But if you're smart enough, you can tell AI to program it just so I can't tell. So I mean, you can just give it one of the examples of last week. So yeah. But AI is going to be a really helpful tool, I think, for learning a fair amount. We do have two exams, a midterm and a final exam. Those will be in class here, and online students will take an online version of those too. Generally, this is all scored. So you will, the online students and the in-person students will be graded the same with the discussions and the assignments. The exams are one thing a little different because, again, you will be doing it in a constrained lab environment. In-person students, online students will be doing it at their own office. And so the grading and that will be a little separate there. And then we have one final project at the end that you'll work on. So that's kind of the assessments. Again, contrary to what it says on the thing, everything will be due. So like discussions are due Sunday night, assignments are due Sunday nights. Stuff like that. So here's kind of the course schedule and what we'll be going over as we go through class, and some policies, if you are not familiar with those, are listed here. So let's look at how this course is going to function then. So again, we'll have each unit. I'm going to jump ahead since you can see unit 1. I'm going to jump ahead to unit 3, just to give you a preview of that. So again, in unit 3, there'll be some learning materials. There'll be some practice problems here. So often we'll have a set of problems that you can do, that you can try. And again, a lot of these will be just, good practice. Often there'll be a solution to these problems here that you can look up. Sometimes there'll be a video that'll walk you through all these problems, and they're trying to apply it in different areas. So the first couple units, you don't know enough to do real practice problems. But again, once we get to unit 3, we'll have these practice problems. And again, they're just a learning activity, exercises. You don't have to do them. There's no points associated with them. But again, like preparing for the exams and that sort of stuff, they're good. So we'll talk about those every week. I'll generally be posting Zoom recordings. I'll start deleting all of these and replacing with the newest ones. So these will be replaced. But right now, the placeholders are there for it. We'll do a learning exercise every week, and you'll post the result generally to the discussion area. Like here, we're doing advanced ASCII art. This week, we're doing simple ASCII art. So next week, we'll be doing advanced ASCII art. It's kind of fun to see the different art people create. Sometimes I'll have you post, and then I'll have your code and have you then, as a reply, run other people's code there. So watch the discussion areas. So like here, we're just posting a screenshot and then you're replying. But other times I'll have you post code and have you run other people's codes here. So, and then again, there'll be assignment due every week for this. So, okay, so let's go. Well, we just check in. I'm going to try to learn names and stuff like that. So why don't we just go around and give me, why don't you just give me what you like to be called, what name you like to be called by here. And then, why don't we do, are you a first, second, what year you are, and if you're a computer major. And I'm not too concerned if you're a computer science or computer information systems, or if you're a computer major, or if you're another major here. So why don't we just do that? So name that you want to be called by and year and major. Okay?
Caleb, I'm a freshman. And I'm a computer science.
Good job. All right.
My name is Jesse.
Okay.
Still a freshman, but I came in the spring.
Okay, second semester. Yeah. Okay.
CIS.
Okay.
I'm Sophie, I'm sophomore, and CIS major.
All right. Are you back there?
So, I'm freshman.
Okay.
I'm Ryder. I'm a sophomore.
Okay.
I'm Nick. I'm sophomore. On Reggie, we got,
Okay.
I'm David, I'm freshman. Computer science.
Okay.
Dylan, freshman, computer science.
Okay.
I'm Sydney, and I'm a sophomore, but I'm in first year in fellowship.
Okay.
Manual, computer science major. So,
All right. I think we'll have I remember with this course from having the online students, if everyone introduces themselves, we'll see that in a sec because I like to get to know the online students. It's fun to see what the online students are doing too. So again, going to unit 0, textbooks are here. Again, we'll be using this introduction to programming text for this. And again, you can kind of get the feel for how that is. It's very stark, I would say. But some people like this sort of stuff. It's very straightforward. It reminds me of like a calc textbook almost. So that's the introduction of that. Think Java, I think, is a little more creative here. And again, they jump around a little bit as far as their their structure is. So that's a little bit. And then CS Awesome is that is actually a online curriculum that was originally developed here at St. Scholastica, is now used in a lot of high schools for the AP CSA course there. And again, if you are in the CS Principles class, that's uses the mobile CSP course, which is similar to this format and is hosted again at this Runestone activity here. So I think, we'll see, that this is the more richer curriculum. And again, it'll let you actually save and run programs in the code here. So we'll look at that at times also. So we'll talk about using AI assistants and large language models here. But today, there's a general expectation that if you're coding in the business world, you're using an AI assistant a lot for coding. So it doesn't necessarily help. Well, it can do a lot for you. And so in my classes now, we're trying to integrate AI into this learning process so you know and can use AI in the right way for this. Now, in my advanced coding class, it's very helpful because there's a lot of simple coding that the AI just helps you fill out boilerplate and takes, it's nice to have a little assistant that takes care of all that stuff. So when, you're working on a 5-page program, code thing, you can have AI fill in the boring 3 pages and you can just focus on the important page or 2 within that here. In this class, we'll talk about that, but certainly we'll be using AI in this class for things. Software installation. So we'll be using NetBeans and a Java development system. And when you install NetBeans, it should install a Java development kit with it there. So this is installed in the lab. So if I go down here and I type in NetBeans, Apache NetBeans is here, and you can run it for this. It'll run, it has this little symbol. I generally like to pin it to my bar here. So I just pin it to the task bar, and I have a certain spot where I like it too. So I'll have it there. And it is running. Oh, I thought they were on NetBeans 27, but it's actually installing NetBeans 26 here. I'm linking in the new NetBeans is 27. So again, if you're using, I'll probably change this. Oh, I see the problem. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Well, yeah. I think I'll try this out. I just noticing the problem is that when I search for NetBeans 26 here, but then I go to the installers that from this Friends of NetBeans stuff, it actually switches us to the NetBeans 27 installers. They're interesting. I think you can install and run NetBeans 27 on your home computer and use that instead. I don't think I'll test it out, and if there's an issue, I'll tell you on Friday. But you can certainly download and install NetBeans in different environments for us. So, and again, NetBeans will work here, and so it'll look something like this for us. So this will be our NetBeans environment. And again, we'll walk through that in just a sec. But before we get into that, let's just finish. So that's unit 0 here. And then let's talk about getting started here. So again, in most units, there'll be a learning material, which will be kind of like parts of the textbook you want to read, or maybe a video you should be watching and stuff like that. There'll be the Zoom recordings. So these are the Zoom recordings from last year. So I'm actually going to delete those now because we'll be putting in the newest ones there. So the new recordings will be in here. For you. We'll often have like activities. So like on Friday, we'll do this learning activity with the robot. We don't get to play with an actual robot. Maybe I should try to bring an actual robot. But it'll be we'll just do a simulated activity here and have you post the discussions here. Often in class, we'll work in pairs to do different things. So sometimes we'll do pairs and stuff like that. So we'll look at that on Friday. And then there'll be the assignment. This week's assignment is just to display a song or poem. Often there'll be some flexibility in what. So again, you can print a song or poem, or actually ASCII art. You can choose what you want to do for this. So, okay. I'm going to go into the learning materials and walk a little bit through that here. So, let's talk about Java and what that is. I'm going to start with the CS Awesome text. So I'm going to go here. And again, one thing you'll note is that I want to cover this in a certain order, and the textbooks often follow slightly different orders. So again, we are covering certain orders in like CS Awesome. We're doing section 1.1 and 1.2. That makes sense. But in into the program, we're actually jumping from 1.3 to 1.7 to 2.1. So it's 2.1 is actually your first program here. So that's why I'll tend to link to these readings directly so you know what sections to read each week. And again, you don't feel you have to read all of these. I would choose one of these. So either maybe walk through the CS Awesome ones, or do this intro to programming, or go through the Java ones here. So I'm going to jump into the CS Awesome ones here. So it talks about what an IDE is. So that's an acronym for Integrated Development Environment, and that's what like NetBeans is. Kind of like in the same way that you use a word processor like Microsoft Word or Google Docs to type, to do documents. We use an IDE to program and run programs for that. And there's lots of different IDEs. There are some based in the cloud here, so you can actually run things in the cloud. And again, if you don't have a computer but are using like a Chromebook or something like that, not a Windows or a Mac computer, we can talk about some options as far as using like Replit for doing stuff like that, or some other options here. But it's easier if you use NetBeans for this class. So there are other options. They talk about GitHub, and we'll talk more about GitHub next week. GitHub is an online cloud-based storage there. And I will have all of our examples posted in GitHub, and then you can download them from GitHub here. Now, in future classes, you will submit everything through GitHub, and you have your own GitHub account in more advanced classes. But in this class, I don't require you to submit things through GitHub for it. But I do suggest you might want to start your GitHub account and start using GitHub. So we'll talk about that and how to sign up for a free student account here. This actually is the just generic GitHub sign up, which is free, but there's actually a better student version that's available too. So we'll talk about that next week. There are different environments: VS Code, Dr. Java, BlueJ, JGraphs, IntelliJ, NetBeans, and Eclipse are the main ones. We're using NetBeans, so that's the software we're using. It's probably not the most popular one. It's popular, but it's not the most popular. It's used somewhat by industry, but I would say IntelliJ is probably used more in industry. But again, it has a good set of features in that it's sophisticated, but not too overwhelming for new students. So it has a lot of the features that a full IDE will have without being too overwhelming for things. So that's why we use that. Okay, so and then you will find often programming frustrating at times because you'll be writing programs and one little mistake will keep the whole program from working there. And often you don't know what that one little mistake is for that. It's often, and back in the old days, we used to have Christmas lights we put, decorate a Christmas tree or something like that. And the problem is if any one bulb in the whole Christmas light was broken or bad, the whole thing would stop working and you couldn't tell where the bulb was. Nowadays, modern Christmas lights wire differently. So if a bulb goes out, it's just that bulb. It doesn't break the whole thing. But in the old days, it used to be one bulb. So I remember spending lots of time as a kid. My parents say, "Oh, you have to find the bad bulb," and just taking out a bulb and putting in a new bulb, and then going to the next one and taking that bulb and putting in and trying a different bulb and going through whole things of Christmas lights to try to find the one bad bulb. And it was very frustrating, very boring. And sometimes programming can be that way too, where again, you'll get an error and you can't figure out what that error is. And you can't move, you can't keep going, you can't run. And so it can be very frustrating at times. We'll talk a lot about it and we'll try to use some techniques. One is kind of this growth mindset. Sometimes people refer to this as grit. I tend to think of it more like as mental exercise. So, in the same way that if you want to get better at something, like let's say you want to run grandma's marathon, this summer, you want to do a marathon, you're not just going to, well, some of you probably could just go out and run a marathon, but I couldn't just go out and run a marathon. I have to start practice. I have to work my way up to it. So I have to every week be doing stuff. And you can Google, prepping for a marathon, and it'll map out a 2-month plan on what you should be doing every week to prepare, so get you up there, physically able to run a marathon there. And again, if you are a sports team or anything, you are well used to what you do as far as weight training and stuff like that to keep yourself here. And so same thing with programming. Can be challenging, and so we're going to have to do a lot of mental exercises in class and in just to learn and to get better there. That's what this growth mindset is. Now, because it is also frustrating, we'll do a fair amount of pair programming. You often work in pairs in this class. for things. So even starting on Friday, so like on Friday, we'll do this POGO activity. And again, you'll be broken up into pairs here. Now, online students, generally, I won't pair you up. There'll be some times where we'll do activities and there'll be asynchronous partners that you can work with there. Sometimes it is just it's easier that you can do this on your own. So we'll see that. But we'll tend to work with partners on some activities here. And in fact, a number of companies use pair programming at times because, again, it's one of the rules in a lot of companies is that new code never goes to production unless it's seen by at least two eyes. Two people have to see every line of code before it can be accepted into production. And so commonly there is one person codes it and then they submit it to another person. That person reviews it and okays it. But some companies do it try to go a little faster in that two people will work on the code at the same time and do paired programming for that. So, okay. Why are we learning programming anyway? So I think programming is really cool there. I think it teaches us great skills for this. We have to learn some real important things like how to take a problem and break it down into parts and solve each part of a problem. We talk a lot about system thinking and, taking a big program, breaking it into, what kind of systems we can do. It helps with your problem solving. We use this, we have to debug, we have to find our errors in programming. And some people really hate debugging and finding problems. I tend to really like it there. To me, it's like a game or a mystery. I also, watch a lot of British mysteries. So where, I'll be given a couple clues. So my program doesn't work and I'm given this cryptic error message and I'm given this code. And I also, this one behavior, this one thing. So I have like three different clues. And with those clues, my job is to figure out where the error is and fix that error there. So that's what I like. So you can watch through this. Again, CS Awesome has some fun videos. Sometimes I think they're a little bit too fun, but you can try those out. Maybe you'll like those videos. Again, CS Awesome is somewhat targeted to high school students, so just be warned there. But here's our first programming class here. And here, so we'll start talking about this. So here's our first program. It says public class and a class name. And then we have this brace. And it's, I call it a curly brace. It's shift square bracket. So on our keyboard, so you have to hit shift. It's a certain brace there. And we'll use those a lot. And they're always matched up. So we start a brace there and we end a brace here, or curly bracket here. And then we have say public static void main, and then this string thing in here. And again, we start a parenthesis and end a parenthesis here too. We'll mark this off. And again, here's our brace starting and our brace ending. So here's our section that's in braces for this. And then we'll put our code in here. This is kind of what I'd call like a boilerplate, a general layout of our program. All of our programs will start this way for things. And again, note every Java open brace must match by a closed brace here. And so here's our first program. Again, public class, my class. Again, and we can, some of this doesn't change. And again, often you'll see stuff will be color coded. So we can change this. We can name the class whatever we want often, but the public class are fixed, reserved vocab words here. And then here's our public static void main. And again, this main has to be called main here for this. And here's our first statement. It's a print line statement. But it's not print line, it's print ln for this. And then we have this, it's also the system.out.println here. Programming is very picky about things, and so capitalization is very important in certain areas. So now I can actually run that here. I can save and run this. It'll compile and run it right in my browser. Here it's printing this out. So it printed out whatever was in quotes here. So if I change what's in quotes here, so I change this to hello world and run it again, it will print out hello world here for this. And again, in CS Awesome, it shows that it passed, it compiled, and here's the expected output, and here's the actual output for this. And again, we will see errors, lots of errors in here. So like a thing, capitalization, if I don't capitalize this and I try to run and save this, it's going to give me problems. I get an error message here. Package system does not exist. So it's not a very helpful message. And it tries to post where it is there. But I know that means that I forgot to capitalize this because I've made that mistake so many times. Same here is if we do capitalize something that shouldn't be capitalized, or we spell it wrong, that'll give us an error message for this. So error or identifier expected for that. So we've got to watch that. And again, some things you'll see, like as soon as I change this, it'll change colors because it won't be a reserved word there. So there'll be some hints to things. A common error will be forgetting semicolons. On the end of most commands, we need a semicolon. So if we forget that semicolon, we'll get an error semicolon expected. And we'll need to put in a semicolon there. So let's try to run this in NetBeans. So again, I'm going to run NetBeans. I can click here and type in NetBeans and run Apache NetBeans here. I've actually got it running already. So let's bring that up here. When you run NetBeans, does it start with the program or not? Do you know?
It doesn't start with.
Okay, so let's just do a new program. So I'm going to do a new project here. Let me just see if I can close all projects. See, yeah, okay. So now I'm going to do a new project. I can click there, or I can do File, New Project for this. Now, a lot of people want to type the name of the file here. This is just a filter. You don't want to type anything right there to start with. We are always going to use, there's different ways to compile. We will always use Java with Ant. So click on Java with Ant here, and we want a Java application. So we'll always be doing Java with Ant and a Java application here. So the first screen, don't type anything, and it should, once you've done this, it should remember this. So generally once you've got it set that way, you'll just hit next. So Java with Ant and a Java application at next. And now this is where we're going to type in the name of our program. So I'm going to call this first program here. And again, this is where it's going to be located. It's going to be in my documents folder inside another folder called NetBeans project. And that'll be kind of helpful or important to know, because when you have to submit the files later on into like Brightspace, you'll have to submit files. You have to find it in those folders. So it's in your documents folder in a folder called NetBeans projects by default. And you can change that, but that's the default. So again, generally you just have to put in the name here and don't change anything else and just hit finish. It'll create a program file called mine was called firstprog.java. It'll put it up here, and it'll be very similar to what we saw here. It has let me see if I can. I'm trying to get this to be a little bigger so you can see it a little bit. So it'll have a public class, and then the name of whatever you name your program. And once you've created this, you shouldn't change it here because it has to match the name of your file here. So once we've created our program, we should leave that name alone. And then I'll have a public static void main, and then here. Now, some of the stuff you'll see is in gray. And so like here, this, anything that starts with a // anything after a / is what we call a comment, and it is ignored by the computer and only for generally humans to read. So it says to do code the application logic here. So we will put our code. So that just tells you, like, I can click after that, hit enter, and that's where I'll put my code for this. Now, there's another type of comment that you can see, and again, this is grayed out also, is this /*. So anything from one /* to another / is a comment here. And there's some standard way of doing comments, but we're not going to worry about those. I actually find it helpful just to delete these comments when I'm first doing programming because I find they get confusing. You have to leave the package here. So leave the package here. But that is all that is left. Package, first program, public class, first program, public static void main, and then this string array here. And we're done. I mentioned AI a little bit. And again, you can use AI to help you with this sort of stuff. Let me just bring up, let's do chat. Oops, not that chat. Let's go there. You don't have to log in to go to ChatGPT, but I have a saved conversation already. So I want to just make sure I jump back to that. So some of you probably write really short prompts with your AI, but I tend to have long conversations with my AI and write long prompts. I don't know, just a habit I get into. I just like to, maybe it's because I'm used to talking a lot in class there. So when I talk to AI, I'm very long. So here's my little prompt. I'm just learning to program and using Java. This is my first day of class, and I'm learning how to print something out out of a Java program. Can you show me a really basic first Java program, explain the parts? So again, I put that in, and here's what I get out of that. Great. ChatGPT is just so exciting. It is so excited about everything in life. You know Mary Myers in admissions? Mary Myers, when I first started using ChatGPT, it reminded me a lot of Mary Myers. I have known Mary Myers since she was a college student here, and she's just a bubbling personality. And she's always, almost always excited. So I always read this sort of stuff in the voice of Mary Myers, which is just hilarious. Not Ollie. Ollie is a little more, but if you know Mary, you should start reading all the ChatGPT responses in her voice. It's just so great. And here's our program here. And again, now again, public class. Now they're using a different name than this here in this program, but public static void or main and the printout here. And then they have a nice breakdown, explain what each part is. In Java, all code must live inside a class. Here's a class name hello world. The file name must also be hello world.java here, and that's important. So one thing you'll find is that if I took this and just copied that and pasted that into NetBeans here, it will not work because this name does not match the name of my program here. So you have to watch that for this. So if I'm doing that, I should be maybe just copying the main function and pasting it in here. I can do something like that. Another thing to watch is the package name. The package is the folder that things are in. So you can see there's a folder here and my program's in the folder. So if I don't have a package or I change the package name, it will get confused or might have to move it to a different folder and stuff like that. So often watch when you're pasting in code or working with code what the package and this class name is. So, okay. So it's describing this, and again, it tells you what public, static, void, main. Again, those are just, you don't really need to know what those all mean, but if you're interested, it tells you. Public means that other parts of the program can access this main method. Every Java program needs a main method because it's the start of execution. This is a special name for the runtime looks when starting a program. Void means it doesn't return anything. And you're going, well, what does that mean? It bought something and didn't return it? I don't know, but we'll get to that later here. And again, it tells you a little bit about these string args, allows you to pass information to command line. We won't be using this in this class. So, and again, system.print.hello world. System print refers to the standard output. Usually the screen print line means to print a line, and then the quote is that. So again, let's do that. Let's do system with the capital S, system.out.print. Now, one thing you'll see is that when you start typing, it'll have some autocomplete things here that are kind of nice. And that also helps you realize that I'm spelling things right. So, because again, if I notice something wrong, like if I do system.out, now autocomplete's gone. And that to me said, oh, I typed something out wrong there already. So system.out, okay, .print line, and then I'm going to do my parenthesis, and you're required to have a beginning and end parentheses. So generally when you type one, it'll put the other in. So I typed a beginning parenthesis, it put the end parentheses, and it put the semicolon because it thinks we're not very smart and we're not going to remember to put the semicolon in. So it puts the semicolon in for us automatically. And I'm going to print something, so I'm going to use quotes. And in this world, I have to use double quotes. Now, in other languages, like if you've learned Python or other languages, sometimes you can use single quotes or double quotes. In Java, you always have to use double quotes. Single quotes are reserved for something else. So double quotes, and I'm going to say hello world. And I'm going to run that. Now, the run is this play button up here, the green play button up here. There are different versions of it, but just for now, I'll probably just click on that. And it will run. It'll compile it, try to determine if there are any errors, so it builds it. And now it says build successful. And then here's the printout. It printed out hello world for that. So then you're thinking, why do we keep doing this hello world stuff? So ask AI, why is this called hello world? Is this a common first program? Yes, it is very common. Sometimes I like to lob AI these nice softball, nice easy pitches. So because it gets a really nice answer from me. So this is a classic. I knew it was going to get excited to answer this. So the program simply prints out hello world. Here, it's a common first program. Almost every programming language has a hello world example. It's a tradition that goes back to 1970. In the 1972, Brian Kerrigan used hello world is the first example in the tutorial C programming language. That was back in 1972. And you're thinking, who would know that? Well, this is my college programming 1 textbook, and it is by Brian Kerrigan. But I'm not that old. I use the second edition of it, and in that is section 1.1, getting started. The first thing is printing out hello world there. So there's lots of fun hello world examples out there. So that's fun. So there's a whole Wikipedia page dedicated to hello world and Hello World programs. So, but again, there's a Wikipedia page for everything. But if you ever want to do a deep dive on that, that is fun. Okay, so we did that first program. Where were we? Here for this. Okay. We'll dive into more with the print and print line, how they're different on Friday here. Okay, so we've done that. We've run NetBeans here. We've asked AI for fun, exciting help here. And again, I think it saves it automatically for this. But you know, whenever you run it, it saves it. That's what happens. So whenever you hit run, it'll save whatever changes you have for that. So it'll be run. So, and again, next time we start a new project, your project's all here. So by the end of class, this area to the left here will be filled up with projects. So I will start naming them like Unit 1, space, whatever, or whatever, so that I can keep track of them all. So you will get, you know, 30 different programs that'll be at least over here as you work through this. So just keep in mind for that. All right, quitting that, stopping sharing, ending this.